let's talk about the furry comic Rock and Roar. Standing at a respectable 100 or so pages, it is a period piece about suffering for what you want in life. We begin our story with Miles, one of 4 siblings and the runt of the litter in his household. He's 10 years old and all he knows and loves is rock music. He worships a particular music celebrity, has his own guitar, and obsesses over all things music and music related, to the complete abandonment of everything else. While his siblings are making straight A's, leading sports teams, and generally doing well for themselves in school, Miles is failing out of every class that isn't music. When report cards come in, his mother is disgusted that his grades are slipping even further than before, he hasn't been going to tutoring like he's supposed to, and he's basically ignoring all of his little 10-year-old responsibilities. There's clearly a learning disability or ADHD or some other such thing in play here, but this is 1976, so this was way before such things were really well understood, much less planned for or remedied in a school setting. If a kid completely crashes out of their math homework at age 10 and is hyperfixating on one thing, I probably shouldn't comment on it too much. It's not like I'm a childcare provider or a doctor, but it's fairly obvious that Miles is struggling in the mental capacity and not because he's lazy. His mother and grandmother call him foolish and label his music as a waste of time. Now, again, I'm no child psychologist, but if you have a child that hyperfixates and you take away the one thing in life that they like, in Miles' case, his guitar, that is a recipe for disaster. When Miles' brother rats him out for sneaking out one night, his guitar gets taken away and he begins his angry and hormonal I hate everyone and everything phase of life at age 10. I mean, we've all been there at some point in our lives, some more than others, grounding or getting grounded, but I really do sympathize with both sides of this conflict as it's hard to know who to support here. Miles' mom wants what's best for him and wants him to do well in school. He refuses to take tutoring, can't seem to pay attention or apply himself, and spends every waking moment showing off his guitar skills in school. I mean, really the only thing to do is to take it away so he'll have no choice but to focus on what's important, getting a standard education. If his music hobby is shutting everything else out, yes, you've gotta take it away and redirect him for a while. But at the same time, if music is all Miles knows and loves, then that's the one thing he's actually good at and excels at, you've essentially created a super hostile home life where he has nothing to enjoy or relax with. Being surrounded by super successful siblings really doesn't help either. The comic skips forward about 8 years, and yeah, Miles becomes the very monster that his mother didn't want him to be. Take note, parents, the harder you squeeze, the more slips through your fingers. Miles is homeless. He's a thief. He's sleeping on a ratty mattress in an alleyway in a dangerous neighborhood. He's joined a punk band, and all the members of said band hate him because he's become a short-tempered control freak. He's in what basically amounts to indentured servitude because he tried to steal a motorcycle and immediately wrecked it, so he has to work for the owner to pay it off so she doesn't turn him into the cops. Miles grows up to be a miserable, friendless, uneducated failure. He is a loser. It was at this point that I kinda had to step back, because some of the topics in this comic can hit pretty close to home for a lot of people. I noticed right away that Miles has no father, for example, and that really hurts to think about. I mean, trust me, I've got plenty of daddy issues, but that's a story for another day. What we have here is a young man who has no male role models other than the rock stars that he worships from afar. So, looking at Rock and Roar as a whole, I think it can go one of two ways in the long run. Way number one is a tragedy about a young man that didn't do well in school and is reaping what he's sown, forced into a dangerous, unfulfilling life because he refused to pay attention in school, hyper-fixated on music, and just didn't make it. When we're children, we all want to be rock stars or astronauts or doctors or whatever, but few of us actually do it. The only thing you can really do is make sure you have a realistic backup plan or a side hustle while you're trying to make it in the field that you really want. You know, anybody can clean toilets or put the fries in the bag or dig ditches. That doesn't mean you can't practice your music, make connections, and be a part of the local music scene. And if you make it, great. But if you don't, at least you have a job and a home and you're making the bills. Miles had no plan, put all his eggs in one basket, and now he's suffering for it. Badly. Way number two for the comic to go is that it becomes an underdog story. Miles would need a benefactor, a role model, a big brother, whatever you want to call it, to pull him out of this filthy lifestyle and lift him up. People that sink into a situation like this rarely pull themselves out of it. Miles needs the opportunity to prove himself. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll, and he's certainly not going to get there by being a control freak douchebag alley cat all by himself. That's for sure. Rock and Roar is not afraid to show what happens if you risk it all and don't make it. Miles is an angry, miserable little shit, and he lives his life in a very dangerous and chaotic way, with or without the music that he loves so dearly. It's hard to tell if it's the music he wants or the glory. He idolizes a top-of-the-charts rock star and wants that for himself. He wants to be somebody, to be known, to be loved, to matter. Everybody wants that, but he didn't put in the work. He bet it all on black and lost. Picking up the pieces could take the rest of his life if he can reach past his anger and his ego to find the bright little kid that's still buried in there somewhere. So, all that being said, should you read Rock and Roar? I'd say so, yes. The artwork is great, the characters are realistic and relatable, there's plenty of atmosphere and 80s colors to draw the eye. It's very interesting. Reading some of the FAQs on the website says that the comic is already written and is scheduled with a beginning, a middle, and an end already slated sometime in 2027. Finite stories always tend to be better, in my opinion, and this one is a very, very strong one in the emotions and realism department. Check your ego at the door, little man, and join the band. I say, check it out.